Layla sat on the worn-out couch in Peter's small apartment, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. The glow from the city lights outside cast long shadows across the room, emphasizing the tension between them. "You don't get it, Peter," she snapped, her voice breaking. "You say you love me, but every time things get tough, you shut down. You act like I'm supposed to just understand without you saying a word." Peter sighed, running a hand through his messy hair. "That's not fair, Layla," he said, his voice strained. "I'm trying, but I can't always find the right words when you expect me to." She exhaled sharply, looking away. "Then try harder." A silence stretched between them, heavy and unyielding. Finally, Peter sat down beside her, hesitantly reaching for her hand. "I don't want to fight with you," he admitted. Sometimes, I feel like if I say the wrong thing, I'll lose you." Layla blinked, her frustration softening into something more fragile. "I don't want to lose you either," she murmured. "But I need to know we can talk about things instead of walking away or shutting down." Peter gave a small nod, squeezing her hand. "Okay, let's talk. I'll try harder." Layla turned her hand in Peter, lacing their fingers together. His touch was warm, grounding, but the weight of their argument still lingered between them. "Okay," she said softly. "Then let's start now." Peter exhaled deeply, leaning back against the couch. "I don't always know how to handle things, Layla. Growing up, no one really talked about feelings in my house. You just dealt with stuff on your own." Layla frowned, her heart aching at the vulnerability in his voice. She had always known Peter carried his past like an invisible weight, but he rarely let her see just how heavy it was. "I get that," she said. "But when you shut me out, it makes me feel like I'm not part of your world. Like I'm fighting to be in your life, and you're just letting me slip away." Peter looked down at their joined hands. "I don't want you to feel like that. Ever." "Then talk to me," she pressed gently. "Even when it's hard. Even when you don't have the right words." He met her gaze, and for the first time in a long while, Layla saw something shift in his expression. A quiet determination. "I will," he promised. "But you have to be patient with me. This opening up thing? It's not easy for me." She nodded, squeezing his hand. "I can do that, as long as you try." Peter gave her a small, lopsided smile, the kind that had made her fall for him in the first place. "I promise I will." Layla leaned her head against his shoulder, letting herself believe in that promise. Maybe love wasn't about never fighting or always understanding each other right away. Maybe it was about choosing to stay, to listen, and to keep trying even when it wasn't easy. And for now, that was enough. The quiet between them was no longer tense, but comfortable. Layla let herself breathe, soaking in the warmth of Peter's presence. For now, they were okay, but deep down, she knew this wasn't the last time they would struggle. After a few minutes, Peter spoke again, his voice quieter this time. "There's something I need to tell you." Layla lifted her head, sensing the shift in his tone. "What is it?" He hesitated, rubbing his thumb over the back of her hand. "Coach pulled me aside today. He said the media's been talking about us, about you." Her stomach clenched. "What do you mean?" Peter sighed. "Some reporters found out about us. They're spinning it into a distraction narrative, saying I should be focusing on my career, not on a relationship." He let out a bitter chuckle, as if they know anything about us. Layla's heart pounded. She had expected this might happen eventually, but hearing it out loud made it real. "So, what does that mean for us?" Peter looked at her, his expression torn. "Coach didn't tell me to break up with you, but he made it clear that staying out of the spotlight would help." Layla swallowed the lump in her throat. "Are you saying you think we should?" "No." Peter's answer was firm, immediate. "I'm not going to let them dictate my life. But it's going to get harder, Layla. The pressure, the rumors. I need to know if you're ready for that." She sat up straighter, her mind racing. The thought of cameras following her, of whispers behind her back, it scared her. But what scared her more was the idea of walking away from Peter because of it. She took a deep breath. "I won't lie and say it doesn't scare me. But I'm not going anywhere, Peter. We'll figure this out together." Relief flickered in his eyes, and he reached up to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "You're incredible, you know that?" She smiled, though it was laced with uncertainty. "I just love you." Peter pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. "I love you too, and I promise, no matter what happens, we'll face it together." Layla closed her eyes, holding on to that promise as tightly as she held onto him. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The next morning, Layla's phone buzzed relentlessly on the nightstand. She groaned, rolling over in Peter's bed, and squinted at the screen. Her heart dropped. 19 missed calls from Mom. 14 unread messages. Her stomach twisted. She had expected her mother to be upset when she left home. But this was something else. Peter stirred beside her. "What's wrong?" His voice was groggy, thick with sleep. Layla hesitated before handing him the phone. He frowned as he scrolled through the messages. Layla, we need to talk. Immediately. Alara, you've embarrassed this family enough. Alara, running away with some. Message deleted. Alara, if you don't come home, there will be consequences. Layla swallowed hard. She knows. Peter sat up, rubbing his face. You think she found out from the media? She must have, Layla said, hugging her knees to her chest. She never cared about my life before. But now that everyone knows I'm with you, suddenly it's a family embarrassment. Peter frowned. What does she mean by consequences? Layla let out a humorless laugh. Probably cutting me off. She thinks money will scare me back home. Peter studied her carefully. Will it? Layla turned to face him, searching his eyes. No, she said it with certainty, because even though the thought of losing everything she grew up with was terrifying, she wasn't willing to trade Peter for a gilded cage. He nodded slowly, running a hand down her back. Then we deal with it. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't her mother. It was a number she didn't recognize, but the message sent chills down her spine. Unknown. It's only going to get worse. Walk away while you still can. Layla's blood ran cold. Peter, she turned the screen toward him. His jaw clenched as he read it. They weren't just dealing with her mother anymore. Someone else was watching. And whoever it was, they wanted Layla out of Peter's life. Layla's hands trembled as she stared at the message. The words on the screen felt like a warning, like a cold breath against the back of her neck. Peter took the phone from her, his expression darkening. This isn't just the media stirring up drama. Someone is trying to scare you. Layla swallowed hard. But who? And why? Peter exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. Could be someone from my team, a fan, or even someone working with your mom. That thought sent a chill through her. Alara was ruthless when it came to controlling Layla's life. Would she go this far? Layla shook her head. I wouldn't put it past her, but this feels different. It's not her style. She'd demand I come home, not send some anonymous threat. Peter nodded grimly. Then it's someone else. He stood up, pacing the room. I need to talk to my coach. If this is coming from the team, I need to know now. Layla bit her lip. And what if it's not? What if it's someone outside, someone who's just watching us? Peter turned to her, his expression fierce. Then I won't let them get to you. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. Another unknown message. Unknown. This is your last warning, Layla. If you don't leave, you'll regret it. Her heart pounded. Peter grabbed the phone, his jaw tightening. That's it. We're not just waiting for whoever this is to make a move. We need to find out who's behind this. Layla met his eyes, fear creeping in. And if we can't, Peter's voice was steady, unwavering. Then we fight back. Layla took a shaky breath. She had run away from home to escape control, but now she was caught in something even bigger. And this time, she had no idea who she was up against.